Well, good day, everybody, and welcome to today's face-off between the Beats audio system that Volkswagen offers in, like, its Jetta, and I think maybe the Taos now, and we're going to put that up against the highly regarded Bose system that shows up in the Mazda 3 and then some of their other lineup. And if you look out on the internet and you've looked on forums, you know, there's just general this love of the Mazda 3 Bose system, but there's not a lot of love for this Beats system. So today we're going to do our best sort of audio engineering to sort of compare these two systems. We're going to play some songs on both systems and let you take a listen. We are recording this in the highest quality that we can using in-ear binaural microphone, so hopefully you can put on your headphones and sort of get a sense of what it sounds like in the car. Now, I will tell you that the Bose system does sound more rich and premium. However, the Beats system is not a dog. It's got plenty of volume, plenty of clarity. It never distorts, but it's a very, very bright system. It's lots of separation between all the different mid-range, low, bass, etc. And so hopefully maybe you can pick that up a little bit today. So again, we're not out on the highway. We're not driving when we do this test. We've sort of sat in a very quiet location. And again, we're going to compare these two systems. Both systems have volume changes per your speed. Again, I don't want to mess with any of that, trying to keep as many variables out of this as possible. The other thing to note is that the Mazda is quieter out on the highway than this GLI, so take that in consideration. Let's get started. A little bit about this Beats system. Again, this is a 9-speaker system. You have really typical layout. You have a woofer or a mid-range in each of the 4 doors. You have 2 tweeters in the A pillars, and then you have 2 more tweeters in the rear doors, and then you have that subwoofer in the trunk. Okay, so over here in the Mazda 3 with the Bose system. Now, there's a couple of key differences. Number one, yes, this is a 12-speaker system versus the 9 over in the GLI, but there's 2 key differences. One, there is a center speaker as part of the 12, and the way that Bose has done the system is it really does rely on that center speaker. This is a very forward sounding system. Now you can go into settings here. I'm not sure you can see it, but they do offer something called center point, which basically turns this more into a surround sound system versus a typical, excuse me, front centered system. However, I don't like the way the center point sounds. It definitely surround sound, but it just doesn't. It's a little artificial. So, however, to keep it a little less biased, so much towards the front, we do keep the center point on just 1 there. I don't know if you can see the graphics there showing you the surround. So we do keep that on 1. So that's a little bit of a disclaimer. I want to make sure that everybody hears. So the other key difference here is that there are there's no woofer or sort of a mid-range speaker, or no woofer down here in the door card. Mazda makes a big deal out of the fact that they put the woofer or the bass, whatever, the bigger lower speaker up in the footwell, and they say that makes a big difference. And yes, it does. It gives you that bass from the front of the car versus relying so much on the back. You have the famous Bose aluminum grills here on this sort of mid-range, and then you have the tweeter. So between the 3 speakers up here, 1, 2, 3 in the footwell, 1 on the center, I have 7 of the 12 speakers up here in the front. Interestingly enough, on the doors back here, there's no tweeters. There's just this 1 mid-range right now. So now I am up to 9 speakers with 1 of these mid-range in each of the back doors. Now for the sedan, what you have back here is you have your subwoofer. It doesn't look that big, so I guess it's using this cavity back here to create a little bit of a bass sound. And then you have 2 more, looks like mid-range, kind of smallish speakers. So that rounds out your 12 speakers in this Mazda 3. The other thing that we're doing as far as this competition or listening is we're keeping all the settings factory. And now I know we should adjust those, but there's just too much variability there. I will tell you that for the Beats, We lower the treble to sort of take a little bit out of that brightness out. We actually also up the mids a little bit to bring them up, and we do not touch the bass. I'm going to play about 30 seconds of each song between each of the two cars, and then you just sit back, put your headphones on, and enjoy it. And I'm not going to talk. A little bit of classical, a little bit of jazz, got a little bit of voice in there. Hey, before we get started playing any music over here in this Mazda 3, consider subscribing to Beyond the Test Drive. Take a look at our other videos, and if you like what you see, just go ahead and subscribe. We would appreciate that. Hate to be one of those YouTubers that beg people to subscribe and like, but for us smaller folks, as smaller YouTubers out there, it really is helpful. Okay, so let's start and get started, and we'll bounce back and forth between both cars. Okay, well, there you have it. If you put your headphones on, and you should have been able to tell, you should have been able to get a good feeling for what these two systems sound like, but probably not as much as being live in the car. So I'll provide some commentary right now. Yes, this Bose system in the 3 is truly a premium system. It's definitely one of the best out there in any type of mainstream car. You combine that with this very, very quiet cabin. This is the system in the car if you like to drive and listen to music and just be in a whole nother world. The stereo in the 3 definitely, it's part of the driving experience, and that's why you would go for something like this. Now, the Beats system, it's not a slouch. I've never been in my GLI and been like, oh, I'm just so sad my music doesn't sound good. I've enjoyed listening to everything over there. It's a pretty standard experience. It's got lots of volume, much bassier than this Bose system, and again, it just has a more typical sound, but it definitely sounds better than almost any stock system out there with that lots of volume. It's just there's so much separation in the highs, and the highs are just so sharp. That's really kind of my only complaint about that. It's not an enveloping, rich sound. And then you combine that with a louder cabin. It's just it. But both of these systems kind of fit the personality of the car, and it's just a different experience between the two systems. Again, with this Bose system, I've been able to listen to some music I'm very familiar with, and I've heard things I've never heard before, just hi-hats and things up in the high range. And this Bose system is not bassy. It's very well balanced. So there you have it. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know if this sort of audio engineering exercise was worth the time and whether you really could pick up anything. I will want to emphasize that the only thing I did in post for the sound files was I just made sure that the volume levels were balanced. There was no equalizing. There was nothing going on the sound files. And then when I dumped it over to YouTube, I made sure that I did it in the highest quality I could. So there you have it. Again, we'd love to hear from you on your thoughts. Again, consider subscribing. Definitely like this video if you got any value at all out of it. And wherever you are at this moment, have a great day, morning, or evening.